Hi guys, in this video we are going to look at a brief financial analysis about the three apparel companies that are listed in Colombo Stock Exchange. So the three main companies are Haylace Fabric, TJ Lanka PLC and also the Hela Apparel Holdings Limited. So what we are going to look at is which company earns the highest revenue and also highest gross profit margin, as well as the profit after tax margin, and also which company pays dividend and which company has the lowest PER ratio and which company has the lowest price to book value ratio, and these stuff. And also we're going to look at how the floating of dollar exchange rate would improve the profitability levels of these companies. Specifically, these companies are export related companies. So because of the flotation of dollars, this would definitely increase the profitability level of these companies. So we are going to look at all these things in this video. So now let's get started. Before moving on to the detailed financial analysis of the companies, we will look at how the textile industry has performed in the past year. So when you look at the latest central bank report, which has 2020 figures, you can see that textile and garments industry was able to generate around $4,400 million revenue to the country, so which is almost around $4.4 billion. So when we look at as a percentage, it's almost 44 percentage. So this is the single most revenue generating industry in terms of exports. The next sector is the tea, which is around 12.4 contribution to the overall exports. So the textile and garments industry is an industry which is bigger than tea. It's almost threefold bigger in terms of contribution to the overall exports. So now look at so when we look at the individual companies, you can see there are three companies, as I said before: Haylace Fabric, TJ Lanka and Hela Apparel Holdings Limited. So when you see this is the current market prices, which is the closing prices as at 18th March 2022. So you can see the prices here, and also when you look at the revenue factor, you can see numerical wise Hela Apparel Holdings has the largest revenue base, which is almost around 44 billion. But in terms of percentage change, you can see Haylace Fabric has been able to increase its revenue base by almost 100%. So it means it has doubled the revenue. Probably the takeover of South Asian Textile Limited would have been the main reason to this kind of massive increase in revenue. And when we look at the gross profit thing, you can see like Hela Apparel has the highest gross profit in numerical figures, but in terms of percentage wise, you can see that Haylace Fabric has been able to increase its gross profit almost by 94% here. So in terms of gross profit also, Haylace Fabric shows a massive change in 2021. But when we move on to the gross profit margin, you can see a downward trend here when compared to 2020. But as you can see, Haylace Fabric has been able to control the downward trend, because their gross profit margin has been only slipped by 1%. But the other companies, specifically TJ Lanka's gross profit margin has turned into a single digit figure here in 2021. So which is a bit concerning factor here. And also Hela Apparel Holdings gross profit margin also has been significantly reduced here. And when you look at the profit for the period for 9 months, when we compare with 2020 and 2021 figures, you can see that Hela Apparel Holdings has the highest change here, which is almost around 172% here. So, in terms of numerical figures, TJ Lanka generates the highest profit for the period for 2021, but as I said before, Hela Apparel Holdings has been able to increase its profit for the period in 2021 by almost 172%, which is a good sign. And also when we look at the profit after tax margin, where we can arrive this margin is like we can divide the profit for the period by the revenue and you can get this profit after tax margin. So when we look at the profit after tax margin, you can see there is a huge change in Hela Apparel Holdings, which is 45% change, but the profit margin has been increased up to 3% here for Hela Apparel. But in terms of this percentage wise, Hayleys Fabric and TJ Lanka produces the highest profit after tax margin in 2021. And then we move on to the dividend per share. Since Hela Apparel is new to the share market, they are not yet announced a dividend here, but Hayleys Fabric and TJ Lanka pays dividend consistently. And when we look at Hayleys Fabric, they were able to increase their dividend per share by almost 100%. That means they have doubled their dividend per share in 2021. So when we move on to the price to book value ratio, we can see TJ Lanka is in an undervalued position when compared to other peers. So we can assume that TJ Lanka's price to book value ratio is in undervalued position, and it can recapture, it can go up to the level of its peers in future. So when the price get appreciate. And also when we look at the earning per share, which where we arrive by dividing the profit for the period by total number of ordinary shares here. And this EPS trailing 12 months means you have to take the EPS for 12 months. So what we have is up to now for the 2021 we have only 9 months figure. So you need to consider the 2020 fourth quarter results also to get the EPS for trailing 12 months. So when we arrive, Hayleys Fabric TJ Lanka shows the highest EPS trailing 12 months, and when we look at the price earning ratio, we can see Hayleys Fabric is in an undervalued position here when compared to its peers. But when we look at the dividend yield, TJ Lanka produces the highest dividend yield when compared to the current market prices. So overall we can look at all these factors are indicating a mixed signal regarding the companies. So you need to remember this is done only for your education purpose. I am not giving any buying or selling or hold recommendations here, but you have to analyze these companies further and you have to read annual reports to decide your investment strategy. And now we will move on to the important part, which is the dollar cost and dollar revenue percentages and the impact of profitability level when dollar is floated. So when we see, I got this information through a Cal research report. So I could see almost all the companies, almost 3 companies generates 100% of revenue in dollars, which is a good thing. And also in dollar cost percentage, Hela Apparel Holdings has a higher dollar cost base here. And when you float, if the dollar value is around 230 rupees, then Hela Apparel Holdings profitability level would improve by around 50%, and Hayleys Fabric it would goes around 49, and TJ Lanka has the limited improvement in their profitability level, which is 22%. And also when we compare to the, but this figure I couldn't find in the Cal research report. I just calculated based on this 39% improvement using my estimates. And when you look at the USD around 250 Hela Apparel and Hela's Fabric produces a massive growth in their profits, which comes to around 86 and 87 percentage, and also TJ Lanka's profitability improvement is bit suppressed compared to its peers. So this analysis is done, as I said before, for your education and your knowledge purpose. So when you decide to invest, you need to consider other factors as well. So I'll meet you in another video. Bye. Thank you.